Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. I've been sharing with you my journey to the full preterist view, but I've also, in the last few segments, been responding to some questions by some of you, and I really appreciate you sending me your questions and even your objections. Iron sharpens iron, and iron sharpens steel, I think how that goes, something like that. Anyway, I have made the comment, and it's very obviously true, that the full preterist view is at odds with historic Christianity. And one viewer has asked that I demonstrate how there is a true disconnect between the historic views of the church in regard to eschatology versus what the Bible actually says. And I'm more than happy to produce that evidence. And there could be no clearer example of the total disconnect between what the historic church has believed and still believes and what the Bible actually says than in the discussion of the nature of the coming of the Lord. Very clearly, the historic church has believed that at some point of time, a 5'5" physical Jew is going to come out of heaven, riding on a cumulus cloud. The literal earth and the literal elements are going to be dissolved. And of course, by the way, there's all sorts of division within Christianity. Oh, is it just a purging of the earth? Is it a recreation of the physical earth? Is it a total destruction of the earth? See, you get the idea of the division that has existed and still does? Well, be that as it may. There's been this expectation of a physical, literal descent out of heaven at the end of time. Those of us who are preterists, on the other hand, say that historically, any time God intervened through His sovereignty and used one nation to judge another nation, that was called the coming of the Lord. Now, I'm going to make this very brief, but in this book, Like Father, Like Son, on Clouds of Glory, I develop what I'm about to share with you extensively. This book has been called the most definitive work on the nature of Christ's coming that's ever been written. Now, that's some pretty high praise, but it's come from a lot of different sources. And don't forget now, from now until December, until Christmas, I'm offering all of my books at 25% discount. But you have to mention that you see and that you watched YouTube, okay? Just go to my website, place the order. When I receive the order, I'll refund 25%. Like Father, Like Son, on Clouds of Glory. Now, very quickly, notice this. The coming of the Lord in 2 Peter chapter 3. The day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the earth and the elements that are therein shall be burned up. It's got to be a literal coming at the end of time, right? No. That day of the Lord of 2 Peter 3 would be the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies. That's what Peter says. 2 Peter chapter 3, 1 and 2, he was only reminding his readers of what the Old Testament prophets said. 2 Peter 3:13, according to His promise, we look for new heavens and a new earth. Where in the Old Testament did the prophets predict new heaven and new earth? Well, it's Isaiah 64 through 66 specifically. So, very briefly, catch the power of this. The coming of the Lord to bring in the new creation of 2 Peter 3 and Revelation 20 and 21 is the day of the Lord foretold in Isaiah 64 to 66. Okay? Virtually all scholars agree on that. But do you know what they miss? They miss what Isaiah 64, 1 to 3 says about the nature of that day of the Lord. Isaiah has Israel praying, "Oh, that you would come down. Oh, that you would rend the heavens, that the mountains might shake at your presence, that the nations might tremble at your presence." Oh, okay, this is the coming of the Lord. Heaven and earth is torn apart. end of time, right? Oh, but wait. When you did glorious things for which we did not look, you came down. The mountains shook at your presence. The nations trembled at your presence. Oh, wait a minute. Do you see a train coming? The coming of the Lord of 2 Peter chapter 3 would be in fulfillment of Isaiah 64 to 66. But the day of the Lord of Isaiah 64 to 66 would be a day of the Lord like the Lord had come in the past, when he came down, when the mountains shook at his presence. The nations trembled before him, like brush was kindled at his presence. Okay, question for you. Had God ever literally, visibly, bodily, physically again, come out of heaven in the past? That would be a no. But what God had done in the past, to reiterate, he had used this nation over here to judge this nation over here. And every time that he did that, he was said to come. Oh, by the way, he came in flaming fire. He came with the sound of a trumpet. He came with the angels. He shook heaven and earth. Never did he do it literally, physically, bodily, and yet it was the day of the Lord. Out of heaven, treading on the earth, burning up the earth. Now, since the day of the Lord of 2 Peter chapter 3 would be the fulfillment of Isaiah 64, and the coming of the Lord of Isaiah 64 would be a day of the Lord as the Lord had come before, since the Lord had never come literally, visibly, bodily, and physically out of heaven, guess what? The day of the Lord of 2 Peter chapter 3 was not to be a literal, visible, bodily, physical coming of Christ out of heaven. Do you see where the historic church has missed the very plain statements of Scripture? Hey, get a copy of Like Father, Like Son on Clouds of Glory. I guarantee you, you will be blown away at the wealth of information found in the Scripture that verifies and confirms what I've shared with you in just these few moments here. Hey, thanks for joining me on this morning's Morning Musings. Bon café, bonjour. Have a great day. We'll see you on the flip side.